they parked out there. They never went out.
Okay.
Oh no, 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 we don't do repairs. No, 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 yeah, yeah. Just depends. They have a couple different venues.
been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, La Paloma, Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo, Tocopilla, Barranquilla, and Padilla, Almaguer. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts, bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana, Washington, Houston, Kingston, Texarkana, Monterey, Faraday, Santa Fe, Tallapoosa, Glen Rock, Black Rock, Little Rock, Oskaloosa, Tennessee, Chicopee, Spirit Lake, Grand Lake, Devil's Lake, Crater Lake, Beach Lake. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts, bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Louisville, Nashville, Knoxville, Omaha, Baca, Shefferville, Jacksonville, Waterville, Costa Rica, Pittsfield, Springfield, Bakersfield, Shreveport, Hackensack, Cadillac, Fond du Lac, Davenport, Idaho, Jellicoe, Argentina, Diamantina, Pasadena, Catalina, Steve, Guantanamo. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts, bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Pittsburgh, Parkersburg, Gravelburg, Colorado, Ellisburg, Rexburg, Pittsburgh, Eldorado, Larimore, Atmore, Haverstraw, Chattanooga, Chaska, Nebraska, Alaska, Opelika, Baraboo, Waterloo, Kalamazoo, Kansas City, Sioux City, Cedar City, Dodge City. What a pity. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts, bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere.
Can you get a shot all around right now? Y'all got water over here? Who's gonna put a case of water here? Stand by one. How much? Everybody care for water? Yes. White balance, sound check. Test, test. Hello, hello.
So, Dad, the best.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to see it.
Right underneath the camera.
Test, test. White balance check. I hope so.
todas las cosas. ¿Cómo andas allá? ¿Qué tal? Yo lo conozco, así que es calmado, muy tranquilo, de la edad, no se complica. Contesta, es inteligente, bueno, no tiene
Hello. Test. One, two.
Vi la entrevista de ayer nada más. Lo que fíjate, lo dividí en dos, ponemos un
Hello, 1, 2, 3, test.
Entonces, por eso, ¿no? Para poder aprovechar al máximo.
Hey, C-SPAN, how's my white balance?
Pues le hubieran dicho nada más un tiempo. No hace lo que hicieron, exactamente. Pues sí, pero bueno, no deja de ser un orgullo. Para mí me dieron 3 minutos.
Test. 1, 2, 3. Sound good. Yeah.
¿Pero dónde me dijo?
You're good. Thank you.
Pero bueno, ¿cómo te digo? Bien, respiratorio, todo lo que sea. Yo sobre todo. Era lo más casado de seguridad, joven, cosas, igualmente, ya agarraste el pH y todo eso. Bien, pues con migrantes todo el tiempo en la frontera, acabamos de llegar de Italia. Todo el tiempo en la frontera, pasé Navidad con la caravana. Entonces, a mí me iban a mandar para allá, para hacer como un tren, pero haz de cuenta, la neta que bueno que me mandaron, pero igual, porque pues ya lo vienen siguiendo también desde allá hasta aquí. Entonces estaban pensando, porque me dijeron, ok, pues no sabían ellos cuándo iban a entrar. Entonces me dijeron, si tú estás en un noche sin un espacio, ¿puedes trabajar? Yo trabajo, tengo agua allá, no, también pensaban que se iban a venir para acá, resulta que no vinieron para nada para acá. No, agarraron toda la costa del Pacífico nomás.
Where are you heading?
No, buscando vacaciones.
Delia.
No sé qué pasa, es así, te agarran a la punta, andan de aquí,
Tómame una foto. ¿Cómo le va?
pero bueno, a mí le pasaba.
10 años no.
Y ahorita de Trump, ser los disparos, debería de ver.
Estoy mucho gusto ya. Te molesta también a todos.
Sí, salga la cara.
No, déjame mejor para ti. Claro.
¿Listos? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ahí está.
Pero tómanos con esta. No manches, ven
Esta,
nomás.
bueno, esta, oye, con esta ya te tengo que cobrar entonces. A ver,
Que salga el...
y luego, pero salió con todos. Ahí está. Muchas gracias. No, por eso ya te tengo que cobrar. Esta ya es de estudio.
Es como el partido de fútbol. El béisbol ahí, el primera base.
Esta la puedo comprar en octubre en B&H en Nueva York. Hola. Gracias. Este es el vuelo. Este lente. Es que no había tenido aquí, ¿no? Para comprarlo hasta. Todo lo que es quitar un ticket.
Hey, Jordan. Oye, nada más acuérdate.
Pero irónicamente también podía dar también los considerados en su momento para una distancia. Pero nunca fue tan esto. No, el María. No, Bueno, no, perdón. Me estaba confundiendo con el aspirante a la nominación por el Partido Demócrata.
mexicano que le hicieron a la señora que habla inglés, se llama
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes. Something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely when the day that lies ahead seemed impossible to face. And someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely the day that lies ahead of me seemed impossible to face. And when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. I just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be
Good morning. Welcome to San Antonio's beautiful Plaza Guadalupe. Buenos días a todos. Y bienvenidos a la hermosa Plaza Guadalupe. Please welcome Latin Grammy Award winner Roger Velázquez to sing the national anthem. Por favor, den la bienvenida al ganador del premio Latin Grammy, Roger Velázquez, quien interpretará el himno nacional.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Welcome to the stage, James Tellerico, a newly elected and the youngest ever Texas State Representative. Demos la bienvenida al escenario a James Tellerico, el recién electo y más joven representante estatal en la historia de Texas.
Hey y'all, my name is James Tellerico and I have the honor of serving as the youngest member of the Texas legislature. But before I was a politician, I was a middle school teacher right here on the west side of San Antonio. In fact, I used to live just 2 blocks that way. And I taught 6th grade at Rhodes Middle School, home of the Fighting Wildcats. And when I tell folks that I taught middle school, they usually comment on my bravery. And I usually tell them that teaching middle school is the best preparation for serving in the Texas legislature. Every day, I would tell my students, you are the light of the world. And because I believe in the separation of church and state, I didn't tell them that that comes from the book of Matthew. I was a public school teacher, but I was also the grandson of a Texas preacher. And in many ways, preaching and teaching are kind of the same thing. And in the book of Matthew, Jesus tells a crowd of the forgotten and the persecuted, you are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others. It's a timeless message that no matter our power or our status, we each have a moral obligation to do what is right, to do what is good, to do what is just. I had these great windows in my classroom. The school was built in the 1950s before air conditioning, and so the big windows helped keep the classroom cool, but I used them to display photographs of leaders who were never afraid to stand up and speak out. And in the late afternoon, the sunlight would shine directly through one of the windows through a picture of Julián Castro, the West Side's favorite son. And I told my students that the mayor is an example, not because he's successful or because he's famous, but because he always has the courage to do what is right. In my first year of teaching, Mayor Castro staked his entire political career on a proposal to raise local taxes in order to fund full-day pre-K across the city of San Antonio. A proposal to raise local taxes. They teach you that that's a no-no on your first day of politician school. But the mayor did it anyway. He did it anyway, and that's why I told my students to be like the mayor and to let their own light shine no matter the consequences. And some of them took it to heart. Stephanie was the smallest kid in school. She was one of my brightest students and one of my quietest students, and for good reason. She and her family were undocumented. And I tried throughout the school year to build up Stephanie's self-confidence without much success. And right before summer break, we were learning how to write autobiographies. And Stephanie came to me and she said she wanted to write about being undocumented. And I told her the truth. I said, whenever you speak out, there's always great risk. She paused, considered this, and looked at me and said, but I'm the light of the world. And I looked at her, I said, yes, you are. And she said, maybe if I share this with the other kids, it'll make them less scared. The next week I was grading essays, and the first paper on my stack was Stephanie, with the title, I Am Undocumented. Stephanie's bravery to speak out to help others should be an inspiration to all of us. She refused to conform to this world because Americans don't conform, we lead. Whether you're a young mayor who risks his political career, an undocumented student who speaks her truth, or a group of neighbors who gather in Plaza Guadalupe to save their country. We all let our own light shine. This moment in our nation's history feels like midnight, the kind of darkness that's born out of bigotry and corruption and chaos. But it's actually a moral test. This next election won't be about right versus left. It'll be about right versus wrong. And in these types of tests, silence feels safe. Conformity feels comforting. Many of our political leaders, too many, refuse to let their own light shine. They studiously stay silent while blindly following their party into moral darkness. But this is not a time for sheep. It's a time for shepherds. We are all called to be those shepherds. Dr. King said we are called to be people of conviction, not conformity, to be people of moral nobility, not social respectability. Sometimes politics can bring out the worst in people, but there are times when people can bring out the best in politics. I know this feels like midnight, but please remember that midnight is when it's dark enough to see the stars. We are the light of the world, and on November 3rd, 2020, we'll let that light shine once again when we elect my hero, your champion, our friend, Julián Castro, as the next president of these United States of America. Thank you. God bless you. Let's go win this thing.
And now, coming to the stage, please welcome Sandra Contreras. She's a mother of three who has enrolled all three of her children in San Antonio's Pre-K for SA program. Ahora, dirigiéndose al escenario, den la bienvenida a Sandra Contreras. Sandra es madre de 3 hijos, todos inscritos en el programa Pre-K for SA.
Good morning. Good morning to all. Buenos días a todos. Qué linda está la mañana hoy, ¿verdad? Qué sol tan bonito que tenemos hoy en este día. Es un placer y un honor de estar invitada hoy en esta mañana. I have the pleasure and the honor to be invited here today by the former Mayor Julián Castro. I would like to share with you guys what the last 5 years have been for myself and for my wonderful family here today. My name is Sandra Contreras. I am a wife, I am a mother, and I am a health and wellness advocate. And a lifelong Westie. My parents and I grew up in a small home near Benris and Hemphill. So, as I said, is there any Westies in the house today? Any Southside here today? I know y'all are out there. Any Northside here today, guys? And last, any Eastside here today? My parents only spoke Spanish, so my siblings and I became interpreters for them, which taught me what great value to be bilingual is in San Antonio, Texas. So I appreciated what the educational opportunities that would lead in my adulthood. I'm a proud mother of 3 intelligent, compassionate, and loving children that are here with me today, along with my wonderful husband. All my children attended the Pre-K for SA location, and that's the West Center. Armando, my firstborn, turned 3, and I thought, where am I going to send him to pre-K? So I looked in my local community, which only offered a half-day program, and we did not qualify. Second option was to do private schooling, yet it did not fit my financial budget. And last, the one that I chose was Pre-K for SA, which I found that was going to open in the year 2014, which he was enrolled and he flourished in the program. So if Pre-K for SA didn't exist, my 3 children would have not have gone to school and would have stayed home with me. I was excited to also learn about what Pre-K for SA's vision was. Their vision was to accept the early education for all families. In high school, I took an education course that was a child development, and I knew that the 5 first years of a child's life is the most important. Yet it sets a solid foundation for learning. And I was determined to find the best education for my children, and I was glad that Pre-K for SA was established to close the educational gaps. At Pre-K for SA, I observed how he flourished and how he grew in confidence and independence. He started to ask new questions, you know how that goes, and he started to have new vocabulary, and he loved math. A teacher by the name of Miss Conley, she said, just wait, he's gonna learn how to read in kindergarten. And she was absolutely right. He sure did. He started to read the first semester of kindergarten. Yes, let's clap to that, because I did not learn how to read until I was probably in 1st and 2nd grade. So that, as a mother, that's an accomplishment in itself for him and his siblings to read as early as kindergarten. And that's a gift that I cannot give, other than to give education to our children. And also, Pre-K for SA gave me the access to empowering family resources. Not only to educate my children, it was to educate myself, and also to become a better parent and to become a leader. I benefited greatly from the full circle of educating my children and educating myself, and also giving back to the community. Yay! And it gets better, because I participated in parenting classes, nutrition classes, health classes, literacy classes. The list goes on. I attended all these classes that were free, that Pre-K for SA offered, that gave me great value. Literacy workshop helped to read at home. The health classes helped me to decide that Mando only liked tacos. My children only liked vegetables, my girls. And Dad was like, what is it that you're feeding me? So needless to say, I also would make toys at these workshops and games that my children still play with today. Store-bought toys, they left those to the side. And so all of this helped me grow closer to my children and as a mother. And it still gets better. Pre-K for SA also has a Parent as Partner program that also helped me to develop as a community leader. I started a program that encouraged and engaged parents to be active. I connected with parents, and I started this fitness program at the West location. My little one, Amaris here, she finished the program last year, and yet I still belong to Pre-K for SA, because I still am there to do the fitness classes twice a week. Yes, woo! And some of the families still come with me to do fitness and have returned, as for them too, that their children have left the program, but they still continue to come with me because they find the value to do exercise with me. Whoop, whoop! Yes, and I am grateful to Secretary Castro, I'm so sorry, that established the Pre-K for SA program when he was mayor of San Antonio. And I would also like to give a shout out, where's Grace and her son Demetrius, that are here with me today also. And she is from the South location, so give her a whoop whoop, give her some love. So without the Pre-K for SA program, I wouldn't have had access to high quality pre-K for my 3 kids. And without the program, I wouldn't have met the amazing parents that I still have as friends today. Pre-K for SA is a true community partnership. And Secretary Castro, I couldn't agree with him more. Brain power is the currency of success, and education is poder. Thank you all for having me today. Muchas gracias, and enjoy this beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you all.
Please welcome Carmen Lidia. Carmen is a San Antonio native and first-generation college student. Por favor, den la bienvenida a Carmen Lidia. Carmen es nativa de San Antonio y la primera en su familia en asistir a la universidad.
Hola, ¿cómo están esta mañana? Con muchas ganas, ¿sí? So, my name is Carmen Lidia, and I am honored to be a part of a democracy where my voice and my vote matters. I believe my freedom of speech is at risk every day under the current administration. And for this reason, I feel honored to share a part of my story that has been directly impacted by the man we're here to celebrate today. I am a first-generation American. I am the daughter of an immigrant who worked hard every day of my life so that I could fulfill the American dream. An immigrant mother who daily reminded me que para soñar no nos cobran. That means to dream, there's no price. And slowly, she has helped me to become the woman that stands before you today. And I use the word slowly because although my story is one of victories, I struggled tremendously. In high school, I was a student council president, respected by my peers, loved by my educators, and everyone expected me that I would be the student to break all the negative statistics written for girls from my neighborhood and of my skin color. In the spring of my senior year of high school, I realized that my father, who had never contributed to my well-being, compromised my ability to receive my financial aid, and this put fear and rebellion into my heart. I now feared the college process, and it led me to rebel from fulfilling the requirements for high school graduation. Although I was raised to know my value, I went from being a star student to a student filled with shame. I received my high school diploma in the summer, way past all my other friends. But that piece of paper I received didn't remove the failure and what it made me believe about myself. Luckily, at the age of 21, I learned about Cafe College. Have y'all heard about Cafe College? When I learned about it, I was told that it was a great place where I could go and ask all the dumb questions I had about college, financial aid, and scholarships. But it wasn't great. It was amazing. No question I asked was dumb, and every question had a better answer than I could have ever imagined. Cafe College allowed me access to apply and be accepted into the Alamo Community Colleges. And then I continued on to the Baptist University of the Americas. Someone be way over here. And the Cafe College Resource Center became a home away from home where I got to do my homework. And it also became the place where I became a social entrepreneur. I spent countless hours in the computer labs, completing one assignment after another, and dreaming up an organization that is now called Significant You. Significant You is committed to serving as a catalyst for the next generation by being a voice that inspires conversations to empower action, sisterhood, and significance. We serve over 400 girls every year because we believe that we can change the story by changing the conversation. Through our various programs, we provide empowerment and encouragement. The Fairy Godmother Project is one of our most treasured programs. We provide beautiful formal gowns to girls in need at no cost. But our team is not here to make girls feel beautiful and strong for one night. And so we designed an annual empowerment conference and monthly gatherings to empower them in their education, leadership, wellness, and self-worth. Through Significant You, not only do we get to do that, but I am able to tell more and more girls about the amazing resources and support Cafe College continues to bring into our city. And I am so fortunate that a young, ambitious Mayor Julián Castro had a dream to create an infrastructure of educational advancement. Because when his dream became a reality, it became one of the greatest stepping stones of my life. Yes. I am so grateful for the work Julián has done in our community. As mayor, he created opportunity for education that would in turn create job opportunities and raise up all you people today that are here to contribute to our community and our nation. But most of all, more than anything, I'm grateful that he believes in people that other people doubt. He believes in people that other people dismiss, and he believes in people that other people despise. He believes in every single one of you standing here. And because of what he did for the city, I know he believes in me. And I know that he believes that about every American person, and even those who are not American by privilege. I love Cafe College, and I am only one individual from the thousands of students that Cafe College has benefited. This is the change. My life and the life of so many students are the change that he created, that Julián made through his local government. And I am thrilled to see how he will produce change as the leader of our nation. Thank you for allowing me to share with you today. Thank you.
Please welcome Ashwani Jain, former Deputy White House Liaison at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Den la bienvenida ahora a Ashwani Jain, ex diputado de Enlace a la Casa Blanca en el Departamento de Vivienda y Desarrollo Urbano.
How's everyone doing today? No, you got to do better than that. I said, how's everyone doing today? All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Now, when I was invited to speak today, it was an easy yes. To be able to talk about someone who came from humble beginnings to later serve at the highest levels of government, a dedicated public servant who graduated from both Stanford and Harvard universities, the son of a brilliant local community activist, and now a great father of two beautiful little children. It was truly an honor for me. But then I realized that today's event is not about Congressman Julián Castro, but instead about his slightly elder brother, Julián. But I'm still here. My name is Ashwani Jain, and Julián Castro is my mentor. But before I speak about this historic day, I wanted to share a little bit about myself and my own unlikely journey getting here. I'm a first-generation American. I'm the son of small business owners, and I'm a proud product of public schools. I am also a 16-year cancer survivor. I was 13 years old when I was diagnosed and treated. It was the scariest moment of my life, and I had to grow up fast. I remember sitting in hospital rooms feeling like my life was over. And I found that people stopped talking with me as a person and kept talking about me like I was just a name on a piece of paper. So I felt powerless. But I also felt determined to make sure that no one else felt as powerless as I was. I wanted to make a difference I could feel, and I found my purpose by working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation and for President Obama. Unfortunately today, many in communities across this country are feeling powerless. They feel as if our government is talking about them instead of with them. And that's why we need to elect proven leaders who will fight for our progressive values. Today, on this beautiful sunny day in San Antonio, we have a unique opportunity to set the standard for what we value, how our government should be run, and who should be leading our nation. Because I strongly believe that the role of government is to ensure equality of opportunity by investing in its citizens. My family immigrated to this country from India with very limited resources. To provide for a family of 7, my grandfather became a high school janitor. To pay for classes at a community college, my mother worked at a nursing home where she made the minimum wage. After my parents got married, my mother became a contractor for the EPA, while my father struggled to start his own business in an outdoor flea market in Montgomery County, Maryland. And I'm glad to say that today, because of the investments made by the federal, state, and local governments, my parents are now successful small business owners. So I've seen firsthand the value of hard work and also having a reliable partner in government. Through my work with President Obama in his White House and administration, I had the honor of meeting and working for Julián Castro when I served as his deputy White House liaison at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And not only did I get to witness Secretary Castro's leadership firsthand, but I got to see someone who did things for the right reasons, namely to help people. Specifically, it was because of Julián that we increased broadband for public housing residents. It was because of Julián that we provided greater rental assistance for low-income families across this country. It was because of Julián that we prevented housing discrimination against people of color and LGBTQ youth. And it was because of Julián Castro that we decreased veteran homelessness in this nation by 50%. Now, After I left the Obama administration in January of 2017, I wanted to find ways that I could continue building upon the work I had accomplished with Secretary Castro. But I was unsure of what specific path to take. Then I thought to myself, what would my role model, Julián, do? Fortunately, he was kind enough to get on the phone with me and share his advice on how I can use my skills in the best way. He immediately urged me to run for office in my local community in Maryland. He said it would be tough, but if I was passionate about my community, knowledgeable about the issues, and humble enough to run for the right reasons, it would be the most rewarding experience I could imagine. And he said we need strong leaders at every level of government. I did not prevail that day and lost my election. But at the end of the day, I still felt like a winner for my community. As a first-time candidate who was the youngest person in a field of 33 great Democrats, I received nearly 20,000 votes. And more importantly, had a real impact on the issues that were discussed in the race. But let me tell you, it was not easy. As a young person, and as a person of color, it was very difficult for me to be taken seriously. I have a foreign-sounding name. I look younger than what I really am. And so, because of that, I found it difficult for experienced leaders, even those within the Democratic Party, to see my resume, to feel my passion, and to understand my depth of the local issues facing my community. But Julián understood. During my election, he was the very first party leader to offer his full support of my campaign. With his Opportunity First PAC, he went out of his way to find local activists like me, people he knew would work hard for their communities, but just needed some help. And he offered his full support to build a bench for the leaders of tomorrow. Because Julián understands that diverse populations face unique barriers and struggles even outside of politics. Because Julián understands that people who look like me or have funny-sounding names have to work harder to earn respect in the workplace. Because Julián understands that we are less likely to get promoted or have our ideas taken seriously. Because Julián understands that we face greater systematic racism, sexism, and discrimination that are difficult to overcome alone. Julián understands these struggles and wants to ensure that everyone has the same equality of opportunity. And isn't that what we all want from our leaders? Isn't that what we all need from our president? When I look back at all the struggles I have been through, I realized that they were the hardest parts of my life, but the best parts of my unlikely journey. Beating cancer and running for office, they both taught me empathy, gratitude, and allowed me to understand my purpose in life. And my purpose in life is to support leaders who understand how to engage and empower our communities by tackling issues in a comprehensive way. And that's what I see in Julián Castro. Because Julián believes in the free press. Julián believes in universal health care. Julián believes in climate change. Julián believes in LGBTQ rights. Julián believes in funding for our public schools. Julián believes in universal background checks. Julián believes survivors of sexual assault. And Julián believes that families should not be separated at our southern border. That's why I believe in Julián, why I'm asking you to believe in Julián, and why Julián Castro should be our next president of the United States. Thank you so much.
Welcome Texas State Representative Diego Bernal to the stage to introduce Congressman Julián Castro. Demos la bienvenida al representante estatal Diego Bernal, quien presentará al congresista federal Julián Castro.
Oh my goodness! Look at you guys! San Antonio, give yourself a hand. Wait. The hashtag is Julián 2020. Use it now. I'm so happy to see you guys. You're in our hometown, in our district. This is beautiful. Look, you guys. We're all here for Julián, right? Coincidentally, there is another Castro who's been doing some things around the country. And I'm here to talk about him just for a split second. You know, I first met Joaquin and Julián in the schoolyard of Tafoya Middle School, just a few blocks from here. And I, like a number of you, had a hard time telling them apart. But as time went on, there are some things that don't change, and I realized that Julián was the one who knew how to use an iron. But I learned early on from them that they care very, very much about their community. They care very, very much about this city, and they care very, very much about us. And so it was great for me as a young person watching them achieve the things that they were achieving. I remember when I was in law school, I got a little envelope, and it told me that Joaquin was running for state representative, and it was asking me for money. I thought that being a political donor meant that you had to give a lot of money. I didn't know that you could give $5 or $10 and that counted. So I sent them, I don't know what it was, $300 or $400. I had just gotten my financial aid. I ate ramen for the rest of the semester. But he won, right? And since that time, and becoming a congressman, he has been on the forefront of all of the issues that we care about. He has made sure and brought light to the fact that children were being separated from their parents at the border and demanded that there is change. He has made sure that we are talking about ensuring that no child's opportunities are defined by their zip code. And he has made sure and applied pressure and light to the fact that we deserve in the Oval Office someone who is ethical, who is transparent, and keeps the best interests of all Americans in mind. I don't think his work is over yet in that regard, do you? I think he has a ways to go. We're going to get him there, right? We have a phrase in the Texas House that I love, and that is, if you don't respect us, you must expect us. And I think that's what's happening today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my congressman, your congressman, Congressman Julián Castro. Thank you guys so much. Good afternoon. Are y'all ready to elect a new president in 2020? Are you ready to elect my brother Julián, the next president of the United States? Now, I have to be honest with you. Some people have asked me a few questions as they've anticipated him announcing his candidacy. They asked me, for example, well, why is Julián running? Why not you? And I tell them that even though we're twins, he's my older brother. He's 1 minute older than I am. And he reminds me of that all the time. But actually, something even bigger than that, people ask me, if your brother actually becomes president, what are you going to do? You're twins. So I want to lay out a few options for you, and I'd like you to pick for me. There's 3 options so far. We'll go through all of them, all right? Should I shave my head? Should I get a mohawk? Or should I grow a beard? All right, who says shave my head? Who says get a beard? I think I'd probably grow a beard. Sincerely, I wanted to come out and say a few thank yous and then ask for your help and your support for Julián. First, I want to say a very deep thank you to a great friend of ours who was with us the first time Julián ran for mayor. His name is Jorge Urbi, and he was the main organizer that put all of this together. Please help us give a thank you to Jorge. Thank you, Jorge. But also to all the staff, all the volunteers, and all of the supporters of my brother, thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. You know, 50 years ago, there was another Texan in the White House, Lyndon Baines Johnson. 50 years ago, for those of you that lived through it, you know that it was also a very tumultuous time. Americans were divided over a war. They were divided over civil rights and voting rights and women's rights. But even then, our president and a majority of our Congress and the American people marshaled our best energy and our best unity and intentions to bring the country together and pass civil rights legislation and pass voting rights legislation. Pass housing legislation to make sure that people could afford to buy a home, that there'd be public housing for folks. 50 years ago, if you asked somebody who was living around the world, in Africa or Asia, Europe or Latin America, where on earth they'd want to go if they were going to leave their home country, for all of the challenges that we face as a nation, for all of the bitterness that existed in the late 1960s, 50 years ago, for all of those fights and division. 50 years ago, if you asked that question, the answer was very clearly the United States of America. I'm supporting my brother for president because I believe that he will be a president, just as we should elect people in Congress, in the legislatures, and school board, at every level of government, who will make sure that when you ask that question 50 years from now of somebody who is living around the world, in Europe or Africa or Asia or Latin America, where on earth they'd want to go if they were going to leave their home country. It's up to all of us, and most of all to the president we elect, to make sure that 50 years from now, the answer is still our beloved United States of America.
And with your support, I know that he'll make that possible. But here's what we need. First, I would ask you right now to take out your phone for a second. Please take out your phone. I want you to help us. I want you to join our campaign right now if you haven't. Please text Castro to 48 48 48. That's 348, so 48 48 48. We'll make sure that we send you updates about the campaign, about issues that Julián's talking about on any given day, and once in a while, we might even ask you for a campaign contribution. But I want you to know that your help and your support is important, because Julián is running a grassroots campaign. He has said that he will accept no corporate money, no corporate PAC money, no PAC money at all. But we need your help to win this thing. Look, I want to be honest with you. There are going to be a lot of great candidates in this race, and a lot of them are good friends of ours, and we respect them, and we wish them all well. But I know that with your help and your support, we have the best candidate with the best ideas and the biggest heart. Thank you very much. So Julián's coming up in just a few minutes, and I hope that you'll take an opportunity, if you can, if you're on Twitter, to use the hashtag Julián2020. Please Facebook Live us, Instagram Live us. If you're on Snap, put up some snaps. Do everything that you can to help get the word out, spread a good word to your friends. And now, I'd like to introduce somebody in our family even more important than me, and I tell the joke that of all the people in our family, the one who is best qualified to serve in public office is the one who doesn't, and that's our mom, Rosie Castro.
Good morning. I can't tell you how beautiful it is to see all of you out here today, this morning. At this historic, thank you. Here in this historic place, in this corner of the world that is so very special for a historical announcement. You know, I could stand and tell you lots about Julián, but I know you've already heard a lot of good things, so I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to tell you a few things. One is that Julián, as many of you know, is not a man that should ever be underestimated. He is a man of integrity, and he is a man of vision, and he is a man who sets his goals and then proceeds to get everybody behind those goals to make it happen. Julián is a man that believes in that idea of e pluribus unum, from many, one. And that is something that I think we see today and that we see in this beautiful city. The basis of all the work that we have to do, all of us, has always been family. The cornerstone of prosperity and opportunity has always been community. And this community has raised up Julián and Joaquin, and we really thank you for that. There are so many friends here that have come from San Antonio and all over the country. And we thank you for being here. This is a special moment for us. And one of the things that I have to say is that Julián really has always believed what Joaquin has talked about, and that is the infrastructure of opportunity that every individual, regardless of anything, that every family should be given. There was a time in this country when we did that well. It is time to make sure that opportunity is made possible for every individual in this country. I want to introduce to you a son of San Antonio, a son of Texas, the great state of Texas, and a son of the West Side, a son of this country, Julián Castro.
Good morning. Y buenos días. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to my mom. I bet there are a lot of y'all that may have come here to see her instead of me. You know, my mom grew up on this west side of San Antonio, and she got involved in politics a long time ago because she wanted to improve her community here on the west side to make sure that folks had basic things like streets and drainage. And so she got active back then in the Young Democrats, and then she ran when she was 23 years old with this slate called the Committee for Barrio Betterment. And their slogan was, "Give government back to the people." Back then, as y'all remember, they didn't have single-member districts, so very few women and people of color ever got elected. All of that slate of the Committee for Barrio Betterment lost in April of 1971. But on election night, one of the local reporters asked her how she felt. She felt that she felt good about what they had done and that they'd be back. Well, Mom, I think we're back. You know, so many journeys for me and for my family have started right here. And today we begin another one. In this journey, I am so lucky to have an incredible partner in my wife, Erica. And a wonderful inspiration in our daughter, who many of y'all know, Karina. And in our little one, Christian. So I want to thank each and every one of you as well for being here today and joining us. What a great crowd we got out here. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to the press who are here. You know, there was a time when Joaquin and I thought we were going to go into journalism. And so I know that the press work hard and that they are the friend of the truth in this country. Thank you very much for being here. So this is a special place for all of us, this west side of San Antonio. This is the place where my grandmother Victoria came in 1922 when she immigrated from Mexico as a 7-year-old orphan. It's where she grew up, where she worked hard for years as a maid, a cook, and a babysitter while raising my mom as a single parent. It's where my mother became an activist, working to improve the quality of life for her own community. It's where my brother, Joaquin, and I were raised by my mom, where we went to school. We were baptized just over there at the Guadalupe Church. We got a great public school education just a few blocks away, and I had the honor of serving these neighborhoods as mayor of San Antonio for 5 years. This morning, I rode the number 68 bus with my brother down Guadalupe Street, like we did so many times when we were kids. Only this time, I brought my daughter Karina with me. That was the same route that we used to take with my mother to get to school or to go to her work during the summer. I want you all to look around this neighborhood. There are no front runners that are born here, but I've always believed that with big dreams and hard work, anything is possible in this country. This community is a community like so many others across the nation, a community of good people, of humble people, people who go to work early and stay late, oftentimes at more than one job, so they can provide for their family. When they go to bed at night, they say hopeful prayers. They want their children to do well. They want good health. They want the dignity that comes from a good job and the peace of mind that comes from being able to retire on their own terms. This is a community built by immigrants. Families from Mexico, but also families from Germany and from other countries. It's a community also built by Native Americans. Families who worked to build a future. Folks who came here to serve our country at Fort Sam Houston and Lackland and Randolph Air Force Base. And today, this community represents America's future. Diverse, fast-growing, optimistic, a place where people of different backgrounds have come together to create something truly special. And I'm proud to call myself a son of San Antonio. You know, 6 years ago, I had the honor of standing before the Democratic National Convention. I said then that the American dream is not a sprint or even a marathon, but a relay. My story wouldn't be possible without the strong women who came before me and passed me the baton. Because of their hard work, I had the opportunity to stand in front of you today. My family's story wouldn't be possible without a country that challenged itself to live up to the promise of America. That was the point of the American dream. It wasn't supposed to be just a dream. America was a place where dreams could become real. But the thing is that right now, the relay isn't working. Today, we're falling backwards instead of moving forward. And the opportunities that made America the America that we love, those opportunities are reaching fewer and fewer people. Today, we're at risk of dropping that baton. And that's why we're all here this morning, because we're going to make sure that the promise of America is available to everyone in this 21st century. You see, I learned from my mother so many years ago in this community that when we want change, we don't wait for change, we work for it. When my grandmother got here almost 100 years ago, I'm sure that she never could have imagined that just 2 generations later, one of her grandsons would be serving as a member of the United States Congress, and the other would be standing with you here today to say these words. I am a candidate for President of the United States of America. Thank you. Cuando mi abuela llegó aquí, hace ya casi 100 años, estoy seguro que nunca se imaginó que solo 2 generaciones después, uno de sus nietos formaría parte del Congreso de los Estados Unidos y que el otro estaría ante ustedes hoy diciendo las siguientes palabras. Yo soy candidato para presidente de los Estados Unidos. I'm running for president because it's time for new leadership, because it's time for new energy, and it's time for a new commitment to make sure that the opportunities that I've had are available to every American. In the years to come, we must go forward as one nation, working toward one destiny, and that destiny is to be the smartest, the healthiest, the fairest, and the most prosperous nation on earth. Again, in this 21st century, we must be the smartest, the fairest, the healthiest, and the most prosperous nation on earth. Demanding anything less is a failure of vision, and achieving anything less is a failure of leadership. To be the smartest nation requires an early investment in our children's education. As mayor, I challenged the voters to raise the sales tax to expand high-quality full-day pre-K for thousands of San Antonio 4-year-olds. At the time, some said that it was unrealistic, even impossible. Education wasn't my job, they said. And by the way, who's going to vote for a sales tax increase in the state of Texas? But the future of this community was my job. So I put my faith in the people. We called our initiative Pre-K for SA. And we brought together business leaders with educators, with parents and students to make the case. And in November of 2012, the voters of this city said, yes, we believe in investing in early childhood education. So that next fall, I found myself standing outside a Pre-K for SA Early Childhood Center as the first group of young students arrived for their very first day of school. They had their little backpacks on. A lot of them were excited. Some of them were crying. Truth be told, more of the parents were crying than the students. Sure, there were some tears of sadness of seeing their little ones walking into school for the first time. But there were also tears of joy. The joy of knowing that a great pre-kindergarten education was the first step on the road to a brighter future. Today, we live in a world in which brain power is the new currency of success. If we want to compete, and we better, we need everybody's talent. We don't have a single person to waste. Everybody counts in this country. Here in San Antonio, I made Pre-K for SA happen. As president, I'll make Pre-K for the USA happen. Universal pre-kindergarten for all children whose parents want it, so that all of our nation's students can get a strong start. And you know what? We're not going to stop there. We'll work to make the first 2 years of college, a certification program, or an apprenticeship accessible and affordable, so millions more young people and people who are returning to school later in life can get the skills that they need to get a good job without incurring a mountain of debt. Now, to be the healthiest nation, we need a better healthcare system in this country. Not a healthcare system that bends to the will of big pharma or the big insurers, but a healthcare system that's built for the people who actually need healthcare. For as long as I knew her, my grandmother was diabetic, like many folks in this community. As she grew older and her condition got worse, she needed more and more treatment. Thank God Medicare was there for her. Medicare should be there for everybody in this country. It's time for Medicare for all, universal health care for every single American. To be the fairest nation, we have to reform and reimagine our justice system. All over this nation, for far too many people of color, any interaction with the police can become fatal. If police in Charleston can arrest Dylan Roof after he murdered 9 people worshiping at Bible study without hurting him, then don't tell me that Michael Brown and Tamir Rice and Ayanna Jones and Eric Garner and Jason Perro and Stephon Clark and Sandra Bland shouldn't still be alive today. We're going to keep saying their names and those of too many others just like them who were victims of state violence. We're going to keep saying that Black Lives Matter while working toward a justice system where that's true. And you know what else is true? For far too many people, they can't afford bail. And an accusation alone can swiftly turn into a jail sentence. In our country, innocent until proven guilty shouldn't just be reserved for the wealthy few who can afford high-priced defense lawyers. Innocent until proven guilty should apply to every single American in this country. We must also reform our immigration system so that keeping families together instead of tearing them apart is our policy. Just a couple of days ago, President Trump visited McAllen, Texas, just south of here, after he'd claimed that we're facing an invasion at the border. The president called it a national security crisis. Well, there is a crisis today. It's a crisis of leadership. Donald Trump has failed to uphold the values of our great nation. Yes, there are serious issues that need to be addressed in our broken immigration system. But seeking asylum is a legal right. And the cruel policies of this administration are doing real harm and damage. One of the things that I remember most about my grandmother is how she would talk to Joaquin and me about how she came to this country as a child separated from her dying mother. Even as a 70-year-old woman, when she remembered those moments, she would cry like the 7-year-old girl she was when it happened, because she never had a chance to say goodbye to her mom. Yeah, we have to have border security, but there's a smart and a humane way to do it. And there is no way in hell that caging babies is a smart or a good or a right way to do it. We say no to building a wall and yes to building community. We say no to scapegoating immigrants and yes to dreamers. Yes to keeping families together. Yes to finally passing comprehensive immigration reform in this country. If we all work together, we can build a nation more prosperous, not only for those who are already doing well, but for everybody else. We can raise the minimum wage so that people don't have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to put food on the table. We can protect a woman's right to make her own decisions about her body, because for women, access to reproductive health care is an economic issue. We can protect the right of workers to organize in an economy that is quickly changing and leaving too many workers behind. And we can protect people from discrimination no matter who they love or how they identify. And we'll work to make sure every American has a safe, decent, and affordable place to live in this country. You know, as housing secretary, I visited 100 different communities, big and small, all across our nation. From downtown Los Angeles to rural Wisconsin, to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the Pine Ridge Reservation. And this much is clear: we have a housing affordability crisis in this country. Today, too many families are spending more than half of their income on rent. And that means that more families are doubling up, sleeping on the couches of relatives, or even sleeping on the streets. But you know what? You hardly ever hear about that in politics. That's going to change. We will invest in housing that's affordable to the middle class and to the poor. And I know that we can turn things around. In the Obama administration, we made ending homelessness a priority, starting with veteran homelessness. And by the time we were done, we'd cut veteran homelessness almost in half. In the years to come, we can do that and more. Now, the biggest threat to our prosperity in this 21st century is climate change. Don't let anybody tell you that we have to choose between growing our economy and protecting our planet. We can fight climate change and create great jobs in America. And here's the thing: we don't have a moment to waste. Scientists tell us that if we don't get serious about this right now, the consequences will be tragic. So we won't wait. As president, my first executive order will recommit the United States to the Paris Climate Accord. We're going to say no to subsidizing big oil and say yes to passing a Green New Deal. So those are just some of the ways that we're going to become the smartest, the healthiest, the fairest, and the most prosperous nation on earth. It is a blueprint for 21st century opportunity. And so you know that this is always about you. I won't be accepting a dime of PAC money in this campaign. And as president, we'll work to overturn Citizens United, to get big money out of politics. So that's why I'm running, and that's what I'm running for. Now, I'm going to have a lot more to say in the coming days and weeks about my plans. But throughout our nation's history, even in its darkest days, there have always been patriots who came together to do the hard work that it took to get us closer to our nation's ideals. Those who fought to abolish slavery, suffragists who marched and organized for a woman's right to vote, a generation that sat in at lunch counters and marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the activists at Stonewall, those who inspired a generation that is marching for our lives today, people who challenged us to continue to perfect our union. You and I, we stand on their shoulders, generations of men and women who made beds and made sacrifices, who fought in wars and fought discrimination, who picked crops and also stood in picket lines. They didn't wait. They made our nation what it is today. And now it's our turn to take that baton and to make our nation better than it's ever been before. To my fellow Americans, from Texas to Washington State, to New England, to Florida, to California and Illinois, to Iowa, and to our fellow Americans in Puerto Rico, I'm asking you to join me. You give me your support, and I give you my word. I will spend every day working hard to make sure that you can get a good job, that you can find a decent place to live, that you can have good health care when you get sick, and that your children and grandchildren can reach their dreams, no matter who you are or where you come from. We have always been at our best when we're united by something bigger. And in this journey, in the days to come, together we will show that hope can be bigger than fear, that light can be bigger than darkness, and that truth can be bigger than lies. And as long as we work for it, tomorrow will always be better than today. So let's go work. Vámonos!